I had this disease working within my body. It's when I take one, I can't stop taking it.
What would £10 look like if you're on the streets?
And so
Scotland has long suffered from an epidemic of deaths due to drugs.
their habit was so small, and now they're on this methadone, it's so big.
It's liquid death in my eyes, man.
I would sit there and I would intravenously inject heroin right there. These ones are mostly used to get into the groin area.
Alright, bro, man.
We don't really have a kind of place to go or a way out.
A reminder to me of where my life was and where my life will never be again.
Scotland has been overwhelmed by a severe drug crisis, with 1,172 drug misuse deaths recorded in 2023, a 12% increase from the previous year, making these the worst drug death figures in Europe. On average, this epidemic claims the lives of 3 people every day. A major reason behind this crisis is the widespread availability of opioids like heroin and methadone, along with benzodiazepines such as street Valium, which have flooded the streets.
I got 30 for £10.
30 for £10?
Yep.
30 pence a pill.
Today, we're in Glasgow, the city with the highest number of drug-related deaths in Scotland. We'll be meeting with Francis and Aldo from the Streets Glasgow, both recovering addicts who now dedicate their time to helping the homeless. Together, we'll speak with those directly affected by the epidemic and see firsthand why these drugs are claiming so many lives. Let's go.
Where do you want to go then, guys?
So when you go around talking to the homeless, you know most of them on the streets around here?
Yeah, I spent 30 plus years of my life running about the city centre, addicted to heroin. It was my first choice drug, you know. I'm running about in these streets then, Valium, drink, you know, anything to get by a day in this city centre. Exactly where John's sitting now is a place where I would come and sit.
Right, outside the station?
Yeah, right outside the station, aye. Right. I would sit between there and there. And then shoplift around various shops and that in Glasgow city centre as well to feed my addiction.
Sure. Is that the way to get by around here, shoplifting?
Yeah, shoplifting, panhandling, one of the many ways, yes. Right. You know, one of the many ways.
How long have you been homeless for?
Probably since my man and dad died. Aye, since my man and dad died, I've been sort of a gypsy. A wanderer from pillar to post and just try to get by in it, man.
Is that the case for most people on the streets of Glasgow? If they don't have their support from their family, it's quite difficult, you know, to get by around here.
Definitely. It's not just support of your family. I think you need more structured support, no, because let's face it, your family are going to. I robbed my family blind for one reason. I knew they weren't going to stick me in. Sorry for the French, but that's just how it was. It was easier than getting into trouble through shoplifting or selling or whatever, you know what I mean? It's so low, it's the lowest I've ever been in my life is when I stole half my family, you know what I mean? And that was just to fund the habit.
A lot of people in the UK are asking for more help for the homeless people in Britain. Would you say you get enough help from the local government and councils around here?
I'm so sorry, but that's a blinking joke, man. Help? God's sake, man. I'm not what help I get. A prescription put into a chemist. Never seen a drug worker since.
Prescription drugs are provided free of charge for those addicted to opioids through a system known as opioid substitution therapy. The most commonly prescribed drugs are methadone and buprenorphine. Methadone was first developed in the 1930s by German scientists Max Bockmal and Gustav Erhardt as a synthetic pain reliever to substitute for morphine during World War II. It was later introduced for treating opioid addiction due to its ability to block the effects of heroin and reduce withdrawal symptoms.
You go to the doctor, if you've lived life like us, you go to the doctor with a sore head, they have methadone.
Yeah.
And I hate to be like that, but my doctor, he was a great family doctor, but when it came to writing a prescription, there was no hymns or gods about it. It was, there you go, and that was it. It was so easy, because I didn't have a drug habit when I first got methadone. My thing was about sell it for money, no pure, stupid, what would we call it, immature brain, you know what I mean? Didn't realise that I was that wee drug can kill people, man,
yeah.
No. We had family and friends dying through it, man.
So is this drug just as hard as heroin is?
So worse, methadone's a worse rat than my experience, you know. For me coming off methadone, it's hallucinations, psychosis, everything, man, you know. With heroin, you know, it's heroin to me, I've rattled off both. Heroin's a much lighter rattle than what methadone is. But to touch on what you asked me, you know, like John says he'll throw methadone at you for a sore head, which is true, you know, like we were just talking earlier that people that's on cocaine getting prescribed methadone, which defeats the purpose, you know, you don't get a cocaine addict methadone. So for me, getting prescribed methadone, it was to come off heroin and deal with the withdrawals for that. But it's a prison, you know, when I went onto this methadone, man, it was like 20 plus years later, you know, I was still on it, looking for a way out, and that's what brought me just to throw it.
In 2023, over 30,000 people in Scotland were prescribed opioid substitution drugs, with more than 400,000 prescriptions issued. Methadone alone accounted for nearly 250,000 of these prescriptions, making it the most widely prescribed drug for addiction treatment. Overall, these treatments cost the taxpayer just under £17 million last year. However, whether this system is effective is up to debate. In 2023, methadone was linked to 514 deaths compared to 389 deaths from heroin. This raised an important question: why is the drug intended to help people overcome addiction, causing more deaths than the very drug it aims to replace?
It's liquid death in my eyes, man. It's just that, as you say, it's a sentence, man, and you don't think it's got to be a life sentence, but it is. I get told this is like a 12-week programme, John. This is what wonders. This is a wonder thing. Oh my God, man. See if I'd have known what I know now. I'd have been like, oh my God, I'll just go back and I'll sit in the house for a week or two and debug all that way, man. It's just hard. It's the worst thing in the world, man.
Yeah.
Not when they wish it on anybody, not a soul, man.
Yeah, John touched on a lot of things there that I'm trying to like dissect and just process. I mean,
his energies.
Yeah, but he spoke about methadone. I don't really understand the effects, but hearing it from him himself, it seems like it's a drug that isn't working to treat patients.
It 100% isn't working, and you know, as we were saying there, you know, we're throwing it at anybody and everybody, you know. I was just saying earlier that people that's been addicted to heroin for less than a month getting a methadone prescription, and then within 4 months they're away up at 165, 170 mils of methadone, which is like mental, because their habit was so small and now they're on this methadone, it's so big. And then that's a whole different game, you know, it's a whole different ball game when you're going to a chemist for all this methadone, when your body was only used to this small amount of heroin. You know, it's like more awareness on things like recovery, you know, and the other way out, because it's coming to a time where we're using these prescriptions to thinly concrete our major problems. And today that concrete's cracking, and we're starting to awaken up to these problems, you know, that this isn't the solution. This is you just writing untold amounts of prescriptions, so when the yearly report comes in, you can say, oh well, we're doing something about this, it's a many scripts.
Just ticking a box,
Yeah, ticking a box. For us at the Streets coming out here, our aim is to do that, you know, like talk to these guys about what's happening in their lives, what's going on, and John's just a prime example of the system failing. And that's what we really feel.
But you said yourself, you were once addicted to heroin. What was kind of your story? How did you recover? I recovered by, first of all, finding my faith, which then brought me to my knees. You know, I was on my knees broken inside, you know, no direction, no nothing. So I started with picking my faith up. And the God of my understanding of my faith is the Lord Jesus Christ, you know. So plenty of prayers to him as a broken man, then meeting the right people who then told me about the fellowship. And I got into the fellowship, and that was strange as I was told that way. I've had untold drug workers in my life for years and years and years. Never once was I told about the fellowship, AA, the 12-step programme. Nothing, just prescription, see you in a month's time. No support, no nothing. So how I got myself clean was a lot of hard work, you know, a lot of soul searching, on my knees in prayer, you know, and that's how I found my way out. And you know, it wasn't an easy process. Anybody that says it's an easy process, no, it's a very hard process, let's be honest, but it's a hard process, it's worth doing, because the rewards are plentiful, you know. First of all, we're able to breathe again, see again, touch and feel things, you know, and then start becoming part of society again. And that's our aim as well. It's to come and let people see we're two addicts, we're no better than anybody, you know. We're equal human beings, man. It's just coming to say there's another way out.
You know, the vicious circle it's going round, you know, let's crack that circle in half, man, and build a better path on it, so it's another direction out, you know. That's what I truly feel. So this is Brick Dust Lane, Wesley. I'll just show you here one of the, we were talking about what we've done.
Right.
You know, there's panhandling, there's shoplifting, there's things like this. So this stuff here, this is brick dust. So it resembles the powder heroin, you know, same colour, all of that. So you would come up here and you would bag some of this up here. Right. So you put like the equivalent of £10 worth in.
Okay.
Then you would take it out into the streets, then you would sell it on to somebody.
So
you know.
What would £10 look like if you're on the streets?
And so if I was to make up, so I would put that, and numerous other addicts would put that into a butchie poke, which is the wee bit, the corner of a plastic bag.
Right.
Put this stuff in, and it would just resemble heroin. So there was somebody, usually what it's happened, somebody's walking about the town looking to score heroin. So
right.
then so they go, oh, I can get you. Then you'd nip up here, you'd do this, then you go out and you'd sell it to them.
So someone would sell this for £10?
Yeah, somebody'd sell that for £10, dummy heroin, to then go and buy the real stuff.
Right. What could something like this do to someone if they?
Well, usually people can tell sort of straight away when they put it on their tin foil and go to burn it, or when they put it onto their spoon, it will be the way it breaks down. Now usually when you put heroin on, you add the water, the citric acid to it, which is the formula that breaks down all the dirt in the heroin. Usually well before that you can see it's brick dust, because heroin will just burn down into a browny liquid. Right. This stuff will start sparking and all that, then it will still be sitting at the bottom of the spoon. So that's when people will tell. Though there is a dangerous side, you know, there is some people that can mix heroin through this.
Right.
Then the breaking down process will look more real. There's been cases where people have injected brick dust and it's led to them losing a limb or having serious health conditions.
Okay. Of the 1,172 drug deaths recorded in 2023, 88% were caused by drug poisoning. As ridiculous as mixing drugs with brick dust may sound, the harsh reality of these statistics and standing here on Brick Dust Lane puts everything into perspective. These drugs are devastating the poorest and most vulnerable people in society.
So that's why one of the things when we were doing this is the streets was to put exposure on this thing, you know. Because as an addict in this tuning, like many other addicts, we've all used this lane, you know, but I'm a recovering addict today, and when we're recovering, we wake up to ourselves and who we were, you know, and if us doing this can bring a bit of awareness to brick dust and things like that, then maybe it will make people think twice before they actually buy something.
I'm sure selling this and actually being found out that it's fake, it could turn ugly, no?
Yeah, many cases it has turned ugly. So as you know, I've seen people getting slashed, I've seen people getting stabbed, I've seen people getting brutally beaten up. Then in most cases, when people get hit with brick dust, it's like, you know, they're saying, oh, I'm going to do this when I find this person, but 10 out of 10 they were just happy to get the real stuff. Then that was them, you know, then like that. But yeah, I have seen a lot of things happen through people selling brick dust and receiving it. It's like, but this is one of the lanes where this stuff happens, and as I say, is that there's not just one addict doing it or two addicts doing it, you know, it's like every addict that knows this lane will come up here at some point.
Almost like a culture in society here.
Yeah, basically, yeah, you can put it like that, yeah, definitely. So, where we're going to take you is one of the many bridges, like in the Glasgow city centre, like there's a lot of boys that sit about the Glasgow city centre, so all the usual places to go and take things like heroin, cocaine. Like the police were all wise to the places where everybody was going.
Right.
So then people started going outside the city centre, underneath the railway bridges and things like this. So this is where we're going to take
kind of a bit
you.
away from the...
Yeah, just outside, yeah. So this is one of the many places where we would go.
Sure. This is more like the darker sides of Glasgow. You come to the city centre and it's actually quite thriving. It's a nice place to come and go, I think. Like,
yeah, it's a beautiful place, Glasgow. It's just sad that we spend so much money in making Glasgow shine brighter as the logos go and things like that, but there's so much pain right where we are right now with suffering men and women, addicted and homeless, you know. and we sort of paint over these people and
Goes
forget them.
unnoticed, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was reading up on Glasgow, and it's said like to be one of the most dangerous cities in Scotland, but you actually go deeper into the crime stats and you'd think violent crime would be the highest, but
Yeah.
actually it was drug crime, and
Yes.
that was really surprising to me.
Yeah, definitely. Especially in this Glasgow city centre. I mean, it's like, you know, I've did it, and many of my friends have did it. You know, it's like the amount of crime that would happen here, just running into shops.
Yeah.
You know, the old ways of shoplifting, you go in, you put something under your jute or into a bag, but then cocaine hit Glasgow city centre very big.
Right.
So people were just running into shops and grabbing clothes right off the rack and just running out.
Why do you think drugs are so prevalent in Glasgow or in Scotland in general? Because in London or in England specifically, the main thing you do hear about is marijuana and cocaine, but
Yeah.
here it seems like
Yeah.
everything and anything.
It's everything. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you've got like weed juice in Glasgow city centre between the homeless and addicted. No such a big thing, you know.
Right.
But cocaine, heroin, Valium, drink, just here alone, like this wee shop here, the amount of people that's been attacked outside that shop there, stabbed, slashed, you know. Running into the shop thinking they'd be safe, but
Right.
just ran in and got.
Why that shop specifically?
Well, it's got a post office inside it.
Okay.
So a lot of the guys will go there and use the post office,
Right.
and it's got an off sales inside it as well. So most of the congregation are all gathered at Central Station, they sit at the stairs and things like that.
Okay.
They'll use that to go in for their half bottles of wine.
Sure. But when you say
things like
the
that.
post office, are you talking about drugs are getting delivered to Scotland and they're picking it up?
No,
from
just
there?
going in to get their cash and things, you know,
Oh,
just
okay,
using
right,
it
right.
to get their cash and to get their wine and things like that, you know.
So big drinking culture.
Yes, yes.
But why do you think such a variety is being sold, and why are people in Scotland on like a lot harder drugs here?
Well, I know, like, from my experience being in the Glasgow city centre, now, drugs for me and for many, it's homeless and addicted in Glasgow city centre. It shut the door on that pain, you know, a life, you know, like, for me, you know, I'd been through a lot of mishaps in my life.
Sure.
And the first time, you know, I first tried heroin at 17. And the first time I tried it, it like shut the door on that pain, you know, it concreted that door shut. So that's why I continually used. I was young, I'm 50, so back when I was 17, there was no awareness. You know, the only awareness we got was how to cross a road safely, you know.
Yeah.
There was no awareness about addiction or drugs. So I was a 17-year-old thinking, oh, this is good. And then it escalated from there, then I became addicted to it.
So you
know?
find it does start at a young age? How
Yeah,
young can it get?
for me, then I know many, it started younger. So it's just turned into a culture, isn't it? It's like, then especially for most of the guys and the lassies in this street, and that is their main addiction, is the hard drugs, you know, the narcotics, your cocaine, your heroin. And now there's so much being mixed through these drugs, you know, it's not just a bag of heroin you're getting now, it's a bag of everything, because there's all different things dissected through it. You know, what is it you're really getting today? The same with the street volume. Like, back in my day, it was like, when you bought Valium, it was Valium you were getting. So when somebody goes to buy a bag of Valium now, it's no Valium they're getting, you know, it's like, it's all different drugs all put into the one. And that's why so many deaths, because there's no awareness, there's no understanding, there's no education.
Yeah.
And we waste all this money on safe consumption rooms, all this needless money getting spent on needless things.
Yeah, you don't think that works at all?
No.
Having those rooms? What
No.
goes on in those consumption
Well,
rooms?
it's supposed to be, you know, you go in, there's a person of care
Right.
standing over you as you inject heroin, they're making sure everything's safe for you. But you know, I was saying earlier, if I'm in a person of care, you know, and I'm supposed to sit and watch somebody inject heroin, what kind of care is that? What kind of care is operating within my body and my mind, you know, my spirit? To sit there and watch, so it's like enabling. You know, there's another way out of addiction and homelessness, and it isn't in a safe room injecting heroin.
But is
you
it
know?
like a micro-dosing situation where they try to get you to do less and less every time you go there, or is it you do what you want?
Yeah, well, it's just you're taking your heroin, so I go up with my heroin, you know, and I can be allowed to take that in there under safe circumstances, you know.
In October 2024, Glasgow will open the UK's first consumption room for illegal substances like heroin and cocaine, costing taxpayers £7 million over 3 years. The aim is to tackle Scotland's drug death crisis by providing a safer environment for users. Offering clean needles to prevent the spread of diseases like HIV has proven effective in countries such as Denmark. This approach is comparable to the UK's free condom programme, aimed at preventing the spread of HIV and other infections. While users in the facility will be supervised to prevent overdoses, it raises a critical question. Can consuming illegal drugs ever truly be safe? People like Francis challenge the ethics, especially when they're seen as part of a harm reduction approach. Rather than directly treating addiction, does providing a space for drug use help, or does it only enable further harm?
And in my experience, you know, the 12-step programme works. Being around like-minded men and women works.
Yeah. Is that also kind of a similar way that people get into it, they can also get out of it? So they join the wrong crowds and they get into drugs, but also being around positive
for
people.
me, you know, I believe, you know, we can run about with the wrong people, with the wrong crowds, you know. People will say, now for me, I was brought up in a beautiful, hard-working household, you know. Was it my parents' fault I ended up addicted? No, my parents were good, loving people, you know.
Yeah.
Gave me everything I needed and wanted. It was me, you know. I had this disease working within my body. It's when I take one, I can't stop taking it, you know. But there's other people go out for a drink, you know. You hear of people going out nightclub and they'll take their cocaine at the weekend and their drink, then they can stop. I can't stop. Alan can't stop. You know, we're addicts.
But addiction comes in many forms. I think a lot of people
Yes.
resonate with that kind of story.
Yes,
as well.
100%. Yeah, it's like Jim's just one of the addictions that we can have in life, but there's many addictions. There's shopping addictions. There's, you know, the vanity addiction of making sure you've got the perfect body and the perfect hair. Oh yeah, you know, it's like we live in this world today. Well, we're consumed with one thing or the other. It makes me sad when people say, you can just blame the parents and the way they were brought up with, the way they lived their life today, and that makes me sad because I was brought up in a good, hard-working family, and so was a good few people that I know, you know, whereas they were the only family members that were addicted.
Just look at your mate, there's loads of needles.
Loads of needles, okay.
Yeah, well, we've actually called out for the council to come down here.
Wow, right.
So as you can see, it's still no happened.
Watch my feet as we're going.
This is just one of the many places.
So I see a lot of tents here. Are these funded by the local council to provide tents for homeless people?
Yeah,
or?
no, this tent was bought by the guys that used to be here. They got their own house.
Right.
Our friend Stuart was left the tent. He had his tent pitched just there.
Okay.
But this is where he was sleeping. As you can see, it's like...
It must be extremely noisy. You can't even hear each other talking.
Yeah,
Like sleeping
yeah.
under the bridge with cars coming.
Yeah, we called it to Glasgow City Council Environmental Health to say, is that Stuart in there?
Yeah.
Stuart? Who's that?
Aye, Stuart, go there, ma. Stuart's brother. Aye, right, sorry. Come speak to him.
Right. Why are they staying under there? Is it just to protect from the wind? Why?
Aye, well,
Right.
well, the boys will be in there taking their crack cocaine or using their drugs, getting out the wind. It's a bit of a wind tunnel here, so...
Yeah, so this is where they go. I
strong
can see some syringes just here.
Yeah, that's what we promise, strong, raw, hard-hitting footage, you know, to just bring that awareness to this is what's happening in this Glasgow City Centre.
Right.
And our two friends over there is a prime example of the letdown.
Yeah, this is a bit ridiculous. I feel like there's too much of it.
Yep, 100%.
Wow.
And somebody's wee rosary beads lying there.
But it has to take a certain type of cleaning company to come and do this. It's not safe to dispose.
Yeah,
you know.
no, it is not, because
Watch your feet. Man,
we called out, you know, for this to get all cleaned up to the Environmental Health Services,
Right.
and not one person has done anything about it.
I see a lot of packets here. Are they
yeah.
for syringes, and what else is there?
Well, there's what we got here. Methadone. There's methadone there.
So they come and do their prescription drugs here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So there's that, then there's your blue needles, which these ones are mostly used to get into the groin area.
Right.
When your veins have all, you know.
Is it just like a thicker needle? Or
Yeah, thicker needle for the groin area, yeah. When all the veins in your arms and legs and things have gone, then that's that sort there. Yeah.
How does it
that's
make
where
you
go.
feel coming here? Like,
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, very, very humble to be doing this and being here, and also a reminder to me of where my life was and where my life will never be again, you know, by the grace of God, man, you know. So, yeah, coming here is an eye-opener to me, you know, and to return, to be able to give back, you know, is a beautiful experience, really lovely.
He's a what?
He's on a licence.
A license?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, license, like if you've done a prison sentence, so after your prison you can get early release, get out and license, but if you commit any crimes while you went license, they can take you straight back to prison.
Right.
So, aye.
Sure.
So like for this sort of thing, you know, you can get conditions of your licence as well, that you'll remain clean and no use any substances, so things like that can interfere.
Sure. But this is the main spot then, so they hide under here?
Yes, I used to stand right there. We'd make up our hits there, then we'd go there where we've just been there to inject. See you later, lads, have a nice day, man. Our friend Stuart, his tent was pitched there, but he got a wee hostel somewhere, which was quite good, you know, he got a wee room. I knew this boy as well with the Celtic tip, he passed away. Valium use, so yeah.
So some kind of like makeshift community would be living here basically?
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah, 100%, yeah. Most of the addicted community, the homeless community would gather under this bridge, yeah.
But say if the local, you know, in the city centre in Glasgow, say if the locals complain and said they don't want drugs and people sleeping rough on our streets, where can they go next?
Oh, well, in the city centre, the reason these places get used so much is because in the city centre, that was like the car parks and places people would be using. Then any closed door that would be open, you know, walking out close, like the old tenement buildings, you get a closed door open. So I know there was a lot of residents that stay within the city centre that was complaining, and they even complained about one of the needle exchange places, which moved premises.
But at least that's kind of hidden in a way, though.
Yes,
you know, you're not going to see it on our streets.
It's like, so I would feel the residents about here, because this is quite a big area, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a money area as well, with Barclays just up there. That used to be a homeless hostel there.
Right.
So it's now all Barclays.
Okay.
So I can see there being numerous maybe complaints put in about this place, you know, and other places like it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm basically a tourist in the area, and going around the city centre, I would never have seen that, but the locals who live there every day might you know, hear of it and know of it. And
so that was
kind of way.
Yeah, so that was one of our awareness videos we done when we approached the Glasgow City Council Environmental Health to come clean it. We actually did a video saying, now as you see, Wesley, access is very easy. You know that there's a fence there wide open. It's not you get a chain or a padlock on it. So somebody in a Friday night scenario, they're just coming out of a nightclub, they're standing, you know, they wander in there.
Yeah.
You know, the chances of them getting assaulted, getting robbed for their money, their jewellery, getting stabbed with a syringe, or even having an accident and falling on one is high.
Yeah, I feel like people look at it different ways. Some people might say like people looking down on homeless people, but at the same time it's also not safe for them to be there.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. I mean, as you can see here, there's no much protection.
Yeah,
and I've seen people fall in there accidentally. A lot of people they take their own lives for jumping in there, but I've seen people full of Valium, full of heroin, actually just dropping off, you know, getting too close and just toppling over.
When you take these drugs, are you really like, you're not in reality?
No, you're not in reality. Hence why, you know, a lot of people take drugs to escape reality, like we were saying earlier on.
We were just around the corner from the city centre when we saw the reality of how users consume their drugs. We found methadone funded by the UK government being taken by users under bridges. It puts into question, should the drug consumption rooms be introduced, or are we simply enabling an already massive drug crisis? We head back into the city centre to see where it all started for Francis.
Yeah, but this is where it started for the Streets, Wesley, just here.
So when you were 17, you came down here?
Yeah, and all through the years, I came down here. This might be a couple here sitting, like just getting on it.
And we're just behind some offices or something.
Yeah, this is like behind Tesco right here. Okay. These doors, and I would sit there and I would intravenously inject heroin right there. Wow. Me and my friends.
It's a bit spooky. I wouldn't want to come here down at night, I'm sure.
No, you wouldn't. You would not. It's like, for me coming back here, as we were touching earlier, coming back to this lane in particular, you know, like a few things, you know, like we've witnessed and experienced in these lanes, like where we're walking towards the road, we just hit that. And if there was a vehicle parked there like that was all the better, because I was taking my hit right in front of that, you know, so nobody could see me walking by.
But
so,
do the police, for example, know these spots and they're like...
Yeah, the police would pass by all the time. These people didn't care, man. You know, we'd be sitting there smoking crack, injecting heroin and coke, and you'd see the police on at the top, you know, they wouldn't care. You know, they would just be like, right, probably pull us on the way out, but they wouldn't come down, you know.
Leave them to it.
Yeah, like that. I mean, me and Aldo were just touching on, I was intravenously injecting cocaine and heroin, you know, it's an 8-ball. And the police came up and they actually let me carry on with that. They're like, I just batter in, take it. And once I took it, after it, they're like, right, we've got a warrant for your arrest. I was like, right, okay, you know, but did you even care that there was a human being there injecting himself? You know, I don't need you to care, you know, but Police Scotland, didn't it? You know, I thought maybe they'd have intervened, took it off me, something. But it's just, no, you carry on doing what you're doing, we'll wait for you.
Do you think the people that you do see on the streets, as much as they are addicted, they do want help?
Yeah, I was one of them, man, you know, just an unheard voice, man. I thought, you know, as I say, we were on the services for so long, so when you've got drug workers and you're led to believe these are the people that best understand your addiction and that, you know, when these people aren't giving you any direction out, then in all words, I'm a useless addict, you know, I can't think. The only thing I can think about is my next hit and where the money's coming for it, you know. So at the end of the day, I'm sitting there like, if drug workers can't find my way out or anything, then who am I to find myself a way out? So,
Jojo just get robbed.
Did they?
It's a common thing, they get robbed.
He's been robbed and he's a wee bit upset and now beginning to withdrawals because that's his money to get what he needs. Wow. So that'll be him for the rest of the day until he gets enough money up again to then go and score. Or he just says he's going to have to rob somebody. So that's
vicious cycle.
That's that. Yeah, he's been robbed now. I go out and rob somebody. Which again, that's why our aim at the Streets is to get this awareness out there. You know, there's suffering men and women in here that need help. You know, they don't need a methadone prescription from them. They don't need a Brufadil prescription from them. They need love. They need understanding.
Yeah. What have you seen specifically in Glasgow and Scotland?
Man talking himself, and I do seem to see a lot of people about the streets and that. As you were saying, we don't really have a kind of place to go or a way out, kind of, I mean, so it's about realising that.
Yeah, aye, definitely.
But it's sad times because there's nobody really there for them, the police are just hindering them rather than actually trying to help, so...
Yep.
Would you say this is an issue all around Scotland though, not just Glasgow specifically?
Sure, man, you see the same thing in Edinburgh and all the kind of big capitals, even some of the smaller towns now, they're kind of getting the same way, but they're kind of drifting down and kind of coming and seeing what's there, but it's not helping with everywhere shutting and there's not been a lack of workforce and it's an all-around issue, I would agree on that.
So you think it's more a lack of opportunities for people and they fall into drugs? Is that because of a lack of money, or what would you say that is?
It's a bit of both, because again, if there's a lack of jobs and there's a lack of places for people to go and things for people to do, then they're going to go to that kind of end of thing to seek entertainment in it. So
What support do you think is needed? Because we touched on earlier today that there are centres where people can take drugs in a safe space, but what is really a solution to a really complex issue?
Amsterdam's got similar situations to that, where you can go and get like your cocaine tested, your ecstasy tested, so it brings a little bit more security to those drug takers, and they know that they're getting what they're getting instead of being like polluted with something they're maybe no assuming they're getting. So more places for drugs to be taken in a safe environment. I think we also need more broader awareness of what these drugs are, what they're doing, do you know, instead of just being, oh, this is a bad drug, like, let's not take it, do you know. So more education in drugs, definitely.
You know, often you come down this lane like who Aldo was talking about there, you know, Jojo. The last time we came down this lane, he was sitting there taking his crack cocaine, you know. Right. But today things are very different for him. Now he's in a position where he's going to have to go and do what happened to him. As we said, vicious circle. When any awareness on it, it will continue to be one. Thank you very much, bro. Cheers. Thank you, man. Cheers.
It's good to see your videos actually reaching the public here in Glasgow, or even Greater Scotland.
Yeah, we were saying that earlier, you know, like the young people, like there's a few 16, 17-year-olds and they shouted, oh, you're for the streets. And I thought maybe they might have shouted something, but they never, they just shouted support, which was beautiful, you know. It's like your younger generation understanding, which means a lot. Jojo, you alright? No, you know. Ah, bro, sorry about that, man. Well, I hope you get alright, Jojo, man. Yeah, bro.
I'm fucking clocking at my nut, man.
It's alright, bro, man. And I truly do hope and pray for you, bro, to find your strength in this, and that you don't need to do what happened to you to get by, you know. And I really do hope and pray, man, that you get another way. You be safe, right, brother? No, you're alright, bro. You keep aiming, man.
I've not had for 3 days, I can't.
Well, keep them then. You might get them later on. I'm alright. What breaks my heart the most, you know, is I can't just pick Jojo up and take him home with us, you know. But what we can do today is fight for people like Jojo to get the right proper help to get them off these streets, you know. And that's one thing we will dedicate ourselves to doing, because these guys are suffering, man.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see that they know.
But is that the reality, that some people would rather have drugs than money? Obviously the money supplies it, but that's all they can think about. Is
Yeah, it's that. The only thing Jojo's going to be consumed with now is the anger of getting robbed and the thought of where he's going to get for now, you know. And that can come in numerous ways. Aldo can go home to his nice warm house, you know. I can go home to mine. These guys are here. So that's our biggest thing, man, you know, to make sure these guys know that they're not alone, you know, to make sure these guys know when they see me and Aldo, they know there's two boys I can trust, you know, and to come and open up to us, then we can better help them and direct them to a better place of safety rather than this. So what we do urge for, man, we urge for Glasgow City Council, man, and the services of Glasgow, to get up and start doing something about this, man, you know, instead of throwing prescriptions at people like Jojo and people like John, you know, bring to them another way, you know, it's about time.
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to look...
Well said, mate.
Cheers, bro.
And I think it's really easy to look down on people who are homeless. You saw outside of Tesco, you know the looks they're going to get when people walk by, but at the same time they don't know the story as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's an aim, big aim at the streets, you know. There's both sides to a story, you know. There's always both sides to a story, man. And there's certainly that rings through here in this Glasgow city centre.
Before making this video, if you mentioned Scotland and drugs, the first thing that would have come to mind for many is the movie Trainspotting. But today, the reality is far worse than most could imagine. During my time in Glasgow, I felt like we only had scratched the surface. Hearing the stories from people on the streets, seeing the harsh reality of their living conditions, and witnessing the desperation and lengths people go to for drugs, highlighted the urgency of help needed for the most marginalised in our society. Yeah, so guys, thank you for showing me around today. Where can people find you if they want to check you out?
We're at the Streets Glasgow on TikTok, and we're also starting a YouTube page up as well. In the description to that, and the link is added. on our TikTok page at the Streets Glasgow.
Cool. Alright guys, if you're in Glasgow, go check them out. This was the Streets, this was Glasgow. We'll see you for the next one.